So Dominik is basically our best designer at Outline. He does all our Figma tutorials and our TED Talks. He has single-handedly trained every single one of us to be the awesome designers that we are now. So I honestly think you guys are in for a treat. We've prepared, the whole team has prepared, this kind of talk for us. The slides are going to be cool. And I think the topics are going to really help us out as well. So Dom, he is the man. We all love Dom. Everyone should know Dom. If you don't know Dom now, you know him now. So,
woohoo!
Yay! Woo!
Yeah, nice to meet you guys. Thank you, Javen, for your introduction. Let me share my screen. Just a second. All right. I feel like there's people in charge who accidentally can't use a computer right now. Why Figma is not showing here? Okay, screen 3.
classic Figma.
Yeah. Okay, you should see my screen right now. So, hello everyone. Present today for the session called Design Thinking for everybody. I hope the atmosphere today will be very casual. I don't want it to be super official and kind of uncomfortable. So I'm open for questions during the presentation. Hopefully I can answer some of them in the real time. And yeah, I think we should get started. So today we'll talk about the basics of design in the software used by all graphic designers in our company, which is Figma. I think you already know that. So you might ask, what exactly are we going to find out today? So we'll start with the first steps in the Figma environment, how to set up your account, stuff like that, and basic of the user interface of Figma. And we will end with design tokens used in development environments, which I think will be useful for developers, for example, or people who want to start collaborating with developers even more. All right, so I should click here. Here is table of contents, getting started designing with Figma, styles, component X, and exporting. It's pretty straightforward and it's very basic. I hope at least some of you will benefit from this presentation. Getting started. So what is very important is that Figma is totally free software. You can create it you can use it to create your resume or whatever documents you need. It's not only for user interface design or wireframing or whatever other reason there is to use Figma. So it's very multi. You can use it for pretty much everything. I would say it's not recommended to use it for artistic graphics like photo, doing stuff with photos and kind of, this graphics where you have a lot of effects. I would suggest to open up Photoshop for that kind of stuff. And other than that, I would use Figma for everything. Yeah. Or no, I wouldn't do books in Figma as well. That's a bad practice. I do not recommend it. Okay, never mind. In Figma, you can create teams, projects, which will be covered later, and you can create design files, or lately developed, there is a feature that allows you to create wireframe boards and kind of something like Miro. If some of you used Miro before, there is a very similar feature right now in Figma called FigJam. It's super cool, and I encourage everyone to use it at least once in their life. All right, let's continue. So here is a screenshot of Figma user interface. At the top, you have a bar with all opened files at the moment. It's in form of tabs. There is a plus icon to open a new file, which can be a design file or a FigJam file. On the left side, you can see in the general menu, you can see tabs for search, recent, community. This is a very cool feature of Figma to basically have a full community of files, of plugins, everything developed by community. And you can find over there full set of templates, of design resources, UI kits, pretty much everything you need to design a user interface. Below you have your teams, projects inside teams. This is used for more complex environments like companies where you have different projects and that kind of stuff. You can create new teams. This functionality is limited for plans in Figma. So Figma is free, but if you want to have more features focused for larger teams or larger groups of people, you need to pay Figma at first small amount of money, but when you grow, you need to pay more to have even better features. In the center section, you have your design files, and that's it in terms of general application UI. It's very easy to use, I would say. Designing with Figma. All right, so here we go. After you open a new file, you see this Canva kind of view, which is gray when you don't have any designs opened. And this white box you see in the center of your screen is called frame. It is like a place where you basically design everything. And then you export frames or you pass frames to developers. You can place frames inside of frames, so it is kind of complex setting that is used by Figma, and it's kind of different, I think, compared to other software like Sketch or InVision probably. Yeah, but you can create frames inside of frames. There is, on the right side, you can see a description. It is used for, sorry, we created it for people who can't understand me or want to come back to it later, because I think we'll export this presentation to you and upload it on Slack. So if you need to come back to something, you'll have that ability. And I think the descriptions are pretty good and very explanatory. All right, so moving next, we have grid and layout columns. So when you create your designs, you want your designs to be consistent, and that's like very important law across the design environment. You want everything to be consistent. So usually at the Outliant we use 12 column bootstrap grid, which is very easy to use by developers, I guess. And also it's easy for us to design on this bootstrap grid because it's been already checked by other companies, and it's widely used in environments. So if you're gonna create web design, go for grid and layout. You can create those in Figma. On the right side, there is this settings panel where you can add layout grids or columns, rows, whatever fits you. And this way, everything will align nicely to those columns. Next, layers and groups. This is about how you organize your work, basically, when you are working with some designs or user interfaces or whatever. Because when you have your file opened on the left side, you will see this menu with different kind of things. It could be texts or groups or frames inside of frame. As you can see, main frame is displayed with black text, and items nested inside this frame are a bit further on the right side. This way you see that they are nested inside of kind of master frame. Layers, so everything you create is a new layer. Group layers, and here I want you to remember only one thing from this presentation, if you don't listen to me or something.
We are here.
Yeah, remember.
We are, man.
Yeah, remember to avoid groups. Like, this is very important, and even designers sometimes forget about it. Avoid groups. It is basically useless. It's like if you imagine if like you buy Mustang, Ford Mustang, and you drive Echo because you don't know where the sport mode is located in your car. It's the same situation. Groups are useless in Figma. Instead, you want to use frames because frames have very great functionality, which are, for example, constraints where you can set elements to be scaling, you can create responsive design, all that kind of things. So yeah, I would suggest to avoid groups whenever possible. The only situation where we accept that kind of setup is when you're wireframing and you need your time to be saved and not wasted to organize the designs. So yeah, please remember, avoid groups in Figma. Pages, inside of your project, you can have a different pages for different stuff. So for example, you can use pages for different functionality of your design, or you can use pages for timestamping your designs. So many possibilities out there. And nested frames, yeah, we already discussed that. You can have frames inside of frames. Yeah, do not use groups. Next, vector shapes. It is pretty cool. You can create vector illustrations in Figma. You don't need to use Illustrator. Of course, Illustrator from Adobe is much larger software, and you have much more functionality in Adobe. But for the basic stuff, Figma is enough. Like, you can do really amazing illustrations. If you follow Figma on Twitter, you could see what illustrations people can create with Figma. It's really up to your imagination what you can create here, of course, with limitation of the software, but I think it's for the purpose of user interface design or web design, it's enough. You create vector shapes with tool pen, pen tool. It's a P shortcut on your keyboard, and you basically create lines, and then you adjust angles, and you have your beautiful illustrations. Images. You can import images to Figma. You have a different modes for images. They could be set as fill, or fit, or crop, or tile. It is adjusted to what you need. And to have access to this functionality, you simply click on the image inside of fill section, and then you can select different types of menu items here. All right, typography. Now, I would say 40% of the design to look good is typography, because when you select bad fonts or you adjust bad settings on your typography, it will look bad. The nice thing about Figma, and I would say it's one of the best features of Figma, is that there is a full library of Google fonts in Figma software. So if you don't have a cool font that is probably used by 60% of the websites you walk through your daily usage of internet, they use a Google font. And to kind of see what kind of fonts, you can Google phrase Google fonts, then open up the library. And if you are not sure what type of font you want to use on your project, you can simply click on whatever font you think looks nice, and then Google have suggestions on pairing a typography for your project. That is pretty cool, in my opinion. And if you feel like you have better fonts on your computer, you need to download Figma app, because I think I didn't say that you can use Figma as a web application and you don't need to download it on your computer. But if you want to use custom fonts that are located on your computer, you need to download the app and then install Font Helper. That's available on the Figma website. And this will allow you to use your custom fonts. On the right side, right above the fill that was discussed on the image one slide ago, you can select font type, font weight, line height, font size, letter spacing, text box behavior. Now this is tricky. Personally, I don't use it at all, text box, because it will make your design not consistent. Having this center element selected will allow you to keep your line height, letter spacing, all that kind of stuff set. Text box is more for this kind of artistic design where you don't really need attention of details and you can work around text on a different behavior. Yeah, but yeah, Javen, that's right. Download the app, don't use the web application. It's better to have the app on your computer. It works better and you probably will have a better outcome of using it on your desktop. All right, moving next, styles. This is another segment of our presentation. Figma allows you to create styles inside of your document. So let's say you have your project and you want to use blue color all over the project and you have one shade of this blue color. You can create a style that will be living inside of your Figma design file, and it will be consistent to use it everywhere. And you can set the style on each element, like rectangles, texts, shapes, whatever. It's very comfortable to use styles when working with Figma, and I would say it's one of the most important features you want to look at when you are working with user interfaces and other types of work. Let me drink my coffee and we will continue. What's so funny? What's so funny? What's so funny?
No, it's like your coffee breaks are amazing.
Thank you. All right, there is very quick tutorial on how to create color style. It's the same method for text styles and other styles that we'll come to in a second. Text styles, this is the same thing now with the text. When you are working with very complex projects, you probably want to set up your text styles because, for example, you are creating website and you have only homepage for your project that will be a landing page for something, I don't know. And if you are working with only one page, that's cool. Creating texts all over the website would be enough. You don't have to create text styles at all. But let's imagine that your website has 20 pages and there is a rule that you want to be consistent, as I said it at the beginning. And I'm 100% sure that on the 15th page, you'll forget what kind of text size you used on the first page. And also during web design or user interface design, you don't want to have multiple, like a ton of different font sizes across the website because it would just look bad. You want to keep with a few styles for the text that will be used for paragraphs and for headings, and subheadings maybe, you know, buttons, and that's it. You don't want to have 5 different text size for copy because users will think that they are browsing different websites at the same time. So here the situation is the same. a very quick tutorial on how to create text styles. More styles. Now you can create also styles for your grid and layout, columns, basically everything. If you are working with, let's say, 3 different mobile viewports on your project, or you want to create responsive design, you probably want to create grid styles for your designs. At least this is the way we are working at Outliant. More styles. Wait, what's the difference? Okay, my presentation is broken. No, there we go. You can also create styles for effects if you want drop shadows, background blurs. There are a few very cool effects you can use on your Figma designs, and you can save them as well. And everything you save as a style will be available inside one particular design file, just one where you save it. If you are working with teams and you actually paid for Figma per user, you can enable shared libraries, and those are accessible for everyone in your team. So, for example, if you work at Spotify, you will have access to Spotify design library on each file you work. So that's a very neat feature. Components. Now, stuff right here could be a little confusing, but also could not. So components are UI elements that can be reused across your design files. So right now we are talking about stuff like buttons, like input fields, drop downs, table columns, avatars, everything that is reusable across your design file. You want to set up as a component, because working on a master component will affect other instances. Because, like, imagine you have your master button, which is blue background and white text. You copy this component for button over your designs, and then moving forward, let's say 3 months in your project, you think, oh, this blue looks very bad, I want to use green. So you only change color on your master component and it will affect every instance of this component. It saves a lot of time, and it is very useful to remember about it. There is a cool tip, and it is for developers, that in the longer run, you should aim to align your Figma components with your front-end components, and you want to collaborate with your developers actually to really take advantage of this this part of Figma. Because if you collaborate with them, they will tell you, hey, there is this UI kit available in Figma, and we use it as a framework when working with some project. And this way, you don't have to create every component. You can just copy and paste components to your file, and developers will already have code for it ready, so they don't need to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, and that's pretty cool. Naming components. So it's for very organized persons, and this should be a default tactic when working with the designs. You want to name your layers. You don't want to come back to your design file 2 months later and see element called frame 2150, because it will be like, hey, what did I do here? So you want to name your components. This top paragraph is self-explanatory. Figma uses some. Oh, where did it come from? That's pretty cool. Yeah, so we have this cool illustration that our design team prepared, and it allows you to see how the components and instances are working. So if your icon is called icon slash, if your icons are called this way, so let's say icon slash bin, icon slash arrow, icon slash sun, you will be able to quickly swap those instances on your right side panel, and this way you save your time as well. So naming your components in this way is really cool, and I don't know what else I can say about it. Yeah, so remember to slash and group your components into logical elements, and you will be all set. Exporting. Now, this is part that everyone will take benefit from, because often I got requests on Slack, hey Dom, could you help me with export of this icon or this image or this asset or whatever? So if you listen with focus, you will know everything what I know about it. So let's get into it. Export a single image. So this is very easy. You simply select your image in Figma, and then you go to export panel, which is located on the right side. Now for the export settings, you want to, for images, you want to set settings for 2x to avoid blurry exports. I don't know what's the logic behind it and why it works this way, but you need to remember when exporting an image, you need to set 2x to avoid blurry exports. You can go even higher, 3x, 4x, depending on how big you want this picture to be. But usually 2x is enough. Now, when speaking of icons, you want to export icons as SVG files, and when exporting as SVG, you cannot change the format on this drop-down menu. It will be usually 1x, and the export is pretty decent. You don't need to change anything. You have ability to add suffix if you want your exports to be called differently without renaming all of your frames, because when exporting, usually you will export with the layer name or the frame name, depending on what you are exporting. Later you click export, and that's on your desktop. Now let's say there is a situation when you have 120 images to export and you don't have access to Google Drive or any assets folders or anything, and everything is located in your Figma. So at the beginning, I said there is a community tab where you can download all kind of design resources and plugins and other elements that are available on the community tab. And a big part of it are plugins, because it really expand functionality of the software. One of the plugins that is mentioned here is called Select Layers. So when you download the plugin called Select Layers, you can select, for example, layers by type, and you can select images. So after selecting one image, you can right click and then select 120 images at once. And again, coming back to export window, it will look the same. You just have to set 2x and then export. And it will come down to your desktop very nicely. It is explained right here how the plugin works. So when you come back to this presentation, you can review this slide, and maybe you will be like, oh, damn, this is nice, I want to use it. Anyway, moving next. Looks like we come to the end of the presentation. I know this was very basic about the functionality of Figma, but some of the stuff will really help you create better designs or start using Figma with some knowledge behind it. Like you won't download the app and look at it and what do I need to do here? Maybe now you will be like, oh, I know what text style is. Anyway, thanks for your attention, and special thanks to the design team who created this awesome presentation and helped me prepare myself to this knowledge journey session.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, awesome job from the design team. Thank you very much, and thank you guys for attending to this session. It was really awesome to present it to you.
Thanks,
And
Dom.
I hope you remember you need to avoid groups in Figma. It is one thing that I need you to remember from this presentation. Other than that, thanks you guys, and hopefully I will talk to you maybe sometime in the future. Yeah, that's it from me, and I'm going to mute.
Yeah. Well, I think we have one question for you, Dominic. I just wanted to
Oh,
ask
yeah.
this. Louis did have a question about WebP extension, or are these available in Figma?
Sorry, my internet connection got lost for a second. Could you please repeat?
I think the question was, does the wait, Louis, what is the extension name again?
.webp for
Ah,
exporting images.
Yeah, the name was select layers. It is called like that. It is not a like menu bar. Sorry, menu item. This plugin is called select layers. So you need to search this in community in Figma, and you just need to click add it to your account or something like that. There will be a primary call to action button, and it will appear without downloading stuff or anything. It will just appear in your account.
okay, amazing.
Any more questions? Any more questions? Let's go. Let's go. If you have questions, I can answer them right now.
Oh, I think Dawn was able to answer. Yeah.
Yeah, of course I will answer them later because I remember Joy told us we will group the questions and then answer them. But if you have anything at the moment, I can answer them right now.
Yeah, guys. It's question time. So if everyone could actually like just ask their question. Oh, I mean, this is a very important question from Javen.
Ah, yeah. Unfortunately.
Hello.
Okay.
I think
I
RJ have a
see.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, hello. Hi, Dominic. I'm RG.
Yo, AJ, what's up?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. I just like, uh, what's the advantage of Figma over Adobe Illustrator and XD?
So,
Thank you.
yeah, I don't want to be biased, but
XD
I
sucks.
really hate Adobe environment in terms of software. It works terribly. Like it just freezes on your computer without a reason, and it's really slow. Maybe the situation is a bit different on new MacBooks with M1 chip. I saw some tests on YouTube, and it works a bit better. But in my opinion, the real advantage of Figma over, for example, Adobe XD is the collaboration features and the community feature that we discussed on today's presentation. So, for example, you can have a team of 10 people working on the design file in the same time, and it's really polished in Figma. Like there is something that makes you want to use Figma instead of XD when collaborating on the design files. At least this is what I feel like when working in Figma, because to be honest, I started with Adobe XD when I applied to Outliant, kind of. I was using XD as a primary software choice, but I transitioned to Figma, and I don't think it was a bad decision. I think it was actually a very good decision. And also you get access to tons of plugins that help you create designs. So I would say this is advantage over the Adobe XD. Advantage over Illustrator, I wouldn't say there are any. Like, you can create a very quick vector shapes, but Adobe Illustrator is used, like when you are creating a logo, you want to, of course, go to Adobe Illustrator. You probably won't create a good logo type in Figma. And if you want to create very complex illustrations, you also probably want to use Adobe Illustrator. It's just very expanded software in terms of functionality and features. Yeah, and that's the answer.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, is there anybody else who wanted to ask questions to Dominic? Specifically, I know a lot of like front-end developers have questions about how things are specifically in viewports, Dominic. I think it's going to be like an opportunity for us to have a conversation about it during this call as well.
Okay, let me hear the direct question.
Because I know we have a conversation about the like creating viewports for a lot of like expanding it, not just for 1440 by what we have right now, like responsive to tablet and stuff, but like I think it's a question for Jabin as well. Do we have are we like planning on creating like grid views that will offer um our team to have to work on like bigger viewports, like widescreen and stuff like that?
So what I see right now, because I did this research recently, like a few days ago, for the MakerBot Cloud Print. They are also considering responsiveness of their web application. And when you think about software like Figma or web applications, usually they don't change based on the screen size. Like, even if you working on full HD monitor and then you switch to 4K monitor, the shell of the application will stay the same in terms of size. Situation is a bit different when you're thinking about websites, because it depends on the creative vision of the artist, of the designer. There are websites that scale evenly when you are resizing a window. There are websites that are stick to Bootstrap grid, and you got the centered content when the rest of the page is just a white space. So it really depends on the type of the website and who are you creating the website for. Yeah, there should be some data behind designing that come from UX research, and yeah, that's the answer. Currently, we are designing on a grid by 8, and that's the only rule we stick to in terms of grids.
For sure. So it's like an extra step for UX to actually just like ask a client about that.
Yeah. Like users can't directly answer to you if they want scaled website or if they want a website that is based on Bootstrap grid. You have to assume that, probably. Also, assuming is not the right tactic, but A/B tests maybe could answer this question. If you give a user 2 versions to compare, and then he can answer this question, which website design suits them better.
For sure. Amazing. Well, I appreciate that. I think it can be a conversation we can have moving forward. But then
it's a totally different topic that we can talk about for another 1 hour, and we probably wouldn't set on a single decision. But thanks for this question, and I hope I made it a bit clearer.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I would not sit for another hour because I know you're busy. So I know you're showing off some stuff in Figma right now. Are you gonna make us a demo?
For sure. Let's do it.
Okay.
That's it. This is what we do as a designers.
I like the color combination in
This
here.
is so funny.
Don't
It's
tell
Rob,
him
it's
that,
Rob
man.
here. Rob, I think Rob is here to actually think about this.
No. Sorry. We make a lot of these buttons, and we have to think about where to place them on the website. It's not that we create only colorful rectangles. Our job is much more complicated, so don't think like that. Much more.
I like the save there.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's so professional.
Yeah, it is. It looked so good. I kind of agree. It's like the Pantone for 2021, 2022. Seriously, purple with this purple, amazing. But
You
guys,
guys
we
noticed it
still
wasn't a group. It's not a group. See, it was.
Yeah, it's a frame. It's a frame.
well, just like yeah. Well, guys, do you still have another question for everyone here in the design team? Um, yeah, yeah, and really an amazing presentation. I really appreciate this, Doms. Um, do we have any announcement, Alpha? Probably if you don't have questions, probably announcements will be good
Sorry.
for this last 8 minutes.
Just I posted an announcement in the all hands, so you guys please check it out. That's all.
Yay. Okay. I think we still have like 8 minutes. I wanted to make use of it, but guys, we could basically just thank Doms for the opportunity to be with us today. What? Sorry, Ralph have a question. Okay, thank you, Javen. Doms, just really quick, a question from Ralph. Do we have responsive typography?
No, there are not REM, REM
Uh,
in
okay.
Figma. So we are tied to pixels, unfortunately.
For sure. Okay. Does anybody have a last minute question? I mean, you guys, we could actually have a continuous conversation about this and the Knowledge Journey channel as well. We will be working towards posting updates about this presentation and also the video about the entire presentation to be reviewed by everyone when they have a question about Figma. Yeah, thank you so much for attending, guys. I really do appreciate all of you here. And
Thank you.
yeah, have a great day.
Thank you, Dominik. Thank
Thanks
you so
for
much.
attending and have a good
Yeah,
day.
thanks everyone.
Thanks,
Sorry I was
guys.
late.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks, Dom. You're the
Thank
best.
you. Yes.
Thanks, Mom. Bye.
Thank you.